Before he was Curly, before the bald head, the wild spins, and the famous nuke, 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 he was simply Jerome Lester Horwitz, a shy kid from Brooklyn born on October 22nd, 1903. He grew up in a crowded, working-class Jewish household, the youngest of 5 brothers, in a family where big personalities filled every corner of every room. Jerome wasn't the loudest or the most confident. In fact, offstage, he was almost timid, soft-spoken, and deeply sensitive. But something magical happened when people gathered around him. He could make them laugh without trying. A crossed eye, a stumble, an exaggerated shrug, and suddenly the whole room would be in stitches. He didn't study acting or train formally. Comedy came to him the way breathing does. It was instinct, timing, heart. Even as a young man hopping between odd jobs and local stage gigs, he carried that rare gift, the ability to lift the weight off people's shoulders for a few minutes and let them forget their worries. Becoming Curly. In 1932, Jerome's life changed forever when he joined his brothers, Moe and Shemp, in what would become the Three Stooges. After Shemp stepped away, Jerome filled the spot, reluctantly shaving off his thick auburn hair and mustache to create a new persona. That transformation gave birth to Curly, childlike, unpredictable, elastic, and endlessly energetic. The voice got higher, the movements got bigger, the world got sillier. Audiences didn't just like Curly, they adored him. He wasn't just doing slapstick, he was slapstick. He hurled himself into pratfalls, spun like a top, barked nonsense phrases, and turned chaos into art. Shorts like Punch Drunks, Disorder in the Court, and A Plumbing We Will Go made him the emotional center of the trio. Beneath the eye pokes and crashes was something sweet and innocent that made people root for him. Curly didn't feel mean or cruel. He felt like a big kid trying his best in a world that kept knocking him down. Fame and the hidden weight. The golden years at Columbia Pictures brought success beyond anything the Horowitz family could have imagined. Nearly 100 films, constant touring, applause everywhere. But fame has a way of demanding more than it gives. The schedules were relentless. Long days on set, then travel, then live performances for troops during the war. Curly's comedy was physical, painfully physical, and every fall, crash, and tumble took a toll. While audiences saw effortless energy, it required enormous strain behind the scenes. Still, Curly rarely complained. He didn't want to disappoint anyone. He pushed himself harder than he should have, believing the laughter depended on him. For someone naturally shy and eager to please, saying, "I need rest," simply didn't come easily. Searching for love and stability. Off camera, Curly wanted what most people want: a home, a steady partner, a place to feel safe. But relationships didn't come easily. His early marriages were brief and turbulent, often rushed and fueled by loneliness more than readiness. The life of constant travel and public attention made stability difficult. Still, he never stopped trying. Friends often described him as tender and romantic, someone who fell hard and fast. When things didn't work out, he took it personally, as if he had failed rather than simply faced life's normal heartbreaks. Those disappointments lingered quietly in him. The man who could make strangers laugh until they cried sometimes struggled most when the crowds went home and the room grew quiet. Comfort in small things. One of the most touching sides of Curly was his love for animals, especially dogs. Wherever he traveled, he seemed to find strays that needed care. He'd feed them, talk to them, sometimes even sneak them back to hotels. Fellow performers joked that he collected dogs the way other people collected souvenirs. But for Curly, those animals weren't novelties. They were companions. They didn't expect anything from him. They didn't need him to be funny. They just sat beside him. In a life filled with noise and pressure, that kind of simple loyalty meant everything. Health begins to slip. By the mid-1940s, people close to Curly noticed changes. He tired more easily. His movement slowed between takes. The spark that once seemed endless flickered now and then. Years of physical comedy, poor sleep, inconsistent eating habits, and the general stress of nonstop work were catching up with him. At the time, health wasn't discussed the way it is today. You powered through. You showed up. You didn't talk about exhaustion or emotional strain. So Curly kept performing, even when his body clearly wanted rest. Looking back now, it feels less like dedication and more like a man trying not to let anyone down. The studio system's pressure. Hollywood in the 1940s wasn't gentle with its stars. Studios ran like factories, and performers were expected to keep producing. Time off meant lost profits. So when Curly slowed down, there wasn't much space for recovery. He wasn't treated as someone who needed care. He was treated as someone who needed to get their costakes through just one more picture. His brother Mo did what he could, stepping in to manage finances and protect him. But even family could only do so much against an industry machine. Curly loved entertaining people, yet the pace left little room for him to simply be human. A quiet struggle. In recent years, historians and family accounts have suggested that Curly may have faced emotional and mental health challenges alongside his physical ones. Back then, those struggles weren't understood or spoken about. Mood swings, fatigue, and burnout were brushed off as personality quirks or stress. Today, we might recognize them differently. It's not about labels. It's about compassion. Curly wasn't unstable or unreliable. He was overwhelmed. He carried the weight of expectation while trying to protect the cheerful image everyone loved. That's a heavy costume for anyone to wear every day. Stepping away from the spotlight. In 1946, after experiencing serious health issues, Curly had to step away from performing. It wasn't dramatic or theatrical, just quietly sad. The man who had once bounded across sets with unstoppable energy now needed rest. He made a brief cameo later on, but the era of Curly the Whirlwind had ended. Instead of applause, his days became slower, spent with family, friends, and moments of calm. And maybe, in some small way, that stillness gave him something the spotlight never could: peace. The man behind the laughter. Curly married Valerie Newman in his later years, and with her he found a steadier, gentler chapter of life. Their home life, along with time spent with his daughter, brought him comfort. Those who visited remembered a softer Curly, still funny, still warm, but content to sit quietly, tell stories, or play with the dogs. It's easy to forget that comedians don't live at full volume all the time. Sometimes the biggest personalities crave the most ordinary joys. Remembering Curly today. When Curly Howard passed away in 1952 at just 48 years old, the world lost more than a comic performer. It lost a piece of pure, unfiltered joy. Yet his legacy didn't fade. Decades later, children still discover the Three Stooges and laugh just as hard as audiences did in the 1930s. That's rare. That's timeless. And maybe that's the real mystery solved. Not what went wrong, but how someone so gentle could give so much happiness to others for so long. The truth behind the smile. The truth about Curly isn't dark or scandalous. It's human. He was a talented man who worked very hard, loved deeply, worried quietly, and sometimes carried more than he should have. No grand conspiracy, no shocking secret, just the simple reality that even the funniest people need care, rest, and understanding. His story reminds us that laughter often comes from the most tender places, and that the people who brighten our days deserve kindness too.